I'm here with Sam, you know already, you've met in the previous videos, and the lovely Sarah. Would you introduce yourself, Sarah?
Hello, I'm Sarah Rush and I teach yoga, including pregnancy yoga, in and around Walthamstow.
Yay! Sarah is very modest, but she has a lot of experience, so we are going to benefit from all of that in this video. So, in this video, ladies, we're going to go through 6 brilliant postures that can really help you in pregnancy, but also in labour too. So what I do is I really recommend that you do them as we do them. So that might mean that you pause the video as you go along so that you can join us for the posture. So you do need a partner for at least one of these postures. So if you can watch this with your birth partner, friend or sister, that's brilliant. If you have some medical problems or complicated medical history, always check with your midwife or doctor before you do these positions. And if you're having pain and discomfort when you're doing them, please stop. We recommend that you do these positions really definitely from 20 weeks of pregnancy. Sam is 30 weeks, so she will definitely be doing these. It's at least once a week, but you can definitely do it more if you feel like it. The Align Your Baby lifestyle is really about lifestyle. So it's the little things that you do every day as opposed to just doing something for half an hour once a week or twice a week. So we're thinking about sitting, lying, walking, as well as adding this in and some exercise. So I'm incredibly excited to share these with you. It gives you ladies the opportunity to really rest, relax and recharge, which is really important for us, particularly if you're living busy, hectic lifestyles, you're still working. Try and see these 6 as an opportunity to connect with your baby, connect with your body, and have a half hour where you're really stretching out and relaxing into that. And if you can frame it in that positive mindset, you're much more likely to do them. So, right, the 6 postures that Sarah's going to teach us today, they are a squat, a cat-cow, a lizard lunge, all the animals, Sarah, pigeon, Baddha Konasana, and child's pose. So before we start all of that, I'm just going to say, are you comfy on that, Sarah?
I'm very comfy.
Are you?
Feeling a little bit higher up than you guys, but
as you should be, like a queen. And do you use bolsters much when you're teaching?
All the time. I mean, bolsters position your pelvis above the hips, which is a great position for optimally positioning the baby. Also good for any lower back pain and anybody with pelvic girdle pain because it draws everything in rather than sitting cross-legged. And you can always make one if you can't afford to buy one, although they are really a good buy, but you can always just get several cushions and tightly wrap a towel around them so you've just got the shape. It's the shape that's really important and really firm.
Oh, that's a really top tip, because the pillows that you can buy, perhaps,
they're extortionate. I've made a point of not buying one, actually, because I would honestly recommend anyone to buy a bolster, whether you're pregnant or not. It kind of feeds the whole family, the bolster. You can use it is very handy in pregnancy, and you can get one of these for about £30 from Amazon, including postage. And the pregnancy pillows, like we say, they cost up to 120, 130 quid, and that's kind of only going to be used around your pregnancy or postnatally period, whereas a bolster you're going to get more bang for your buck, I'd say. Definitely, because my husband actually is using one right now post-surgery for when he's sleeping to help under his knees. He has for his lower spine, more kind, so it's everyone can use fun for everyone.
We love the bolsters, guys.
Also, postnatally, you can lie back and really open up your chest and upper body because there's a lot of this going on in terms of feeding and carrying babies, so it's really good for that
use
too.
As support for feeding as well.
It's
everything. You can use for everything.
And we have no vested interest in bolsters.
No links there. So that's a top tip, ladies. So we're going to get into the 6 postures. So we're going to do the squat, the cat-cow, the lizard lunge, the pigeon, Baddha Konasana, and also child's pose at the end. So we will start with the squat. So Sarah is going to guide us through. let me get a little bit out of the way. What kind of squat are we going to start with?
We'll start because Sam's nicely comfortably in it with a kind of freestanding squat, if you like.
Yeah.
And squats are amazing. They open your pelvis by 28%. They help position baby's head. And they're also really good for digestion because obviously digestion can be a little bit sluggish in pregnancy. So as you can see, Sam's heels are lifted. You could also support your heels with a blanket or a cushion and just sit low. If you have a low-lying placenta, then you can squat higher up. So if Sam wants to just get up a little higher, and then you can support yourself on the knees. And this is also a birthing position. Now, a lot of women initially might think, no, I absolutely hate squats, but you can make them a lot more comfortable by giving your partner support. So you could get your partner behind you just to hold onto your armpits. So Sam, if you just, and you could sit there all day. Your partner probably couldn't sit here all day, so they might need to sit on a chair and watch Match of the Day or something at the same time. Or also you could sit on a pile of books. There is another one to do, which is a partner squat, which I will also demonstrate with Sam, where we can just hold each other's forearms. This is really quite a nice way to go. It's a beautiful stretch for the calf muscles as well. So you sink down. And again, it's a lot more, I could be here forever, could you?
Yeah.
All we need is a squat and a bolster and we're happy. So that's another really good, and it's a lovely stretch for the backs of the legs as well.
That's beautiful, guys. So it's really as long as it feels comfortable, and I'm saying to do it once a week, but what would you say, Sarah, in terms of how many times you might be doing a little bit of a squat from 20 or 30 weeks?
There wouldn't be any problem doing it daily.
Yeah.
It just keep everything moving. And certainly throughout labour, many women often sit on the toilet because that's a way, it's a natural squatting position and those muscles naturally relax because you're conditioned to. So during in and out labour, that's another way of doing a squat. So.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, perfect. So quite often as a midwife, when mums are in strong labour, I'll get them to go to the loo for a long time. Just sit there, maybe lights off, relaxing, and it has the same purpose. That's brilliant. So we've got our first yoga position. So we've done our squat with a lovely partner squat. So I recommend that you have a go at that as we go along. And if your partner's there, have a go. And it looks a bit tricky, but it feels amazing, right? It feels lovely. So the next position that we're going to do is the cat-cow. It's one of my favourites, I have to say. The cat-cow is really building on the hands and knees position that you'll see in the next video with the reboso. So as a midwife and training to be a midwife, the all fours position is something that we learnt. It's common midwifery. We know that being on all fours towards the end of pregnancy and in labour, it really encourages your baby into that good position at the front. And it's a great thing to do. So this is adding a little bit of flexibility. So Sarah, over to you.
So Sam's going to get on all fours. So knees wide enough to really support the hips. And hands under shoulders, and be really generous with the shoulders. Make sure the little finger is almost on the edge of the mat, index finger facing forward, and a tiny bend in the elbows if you're prone to any hypermobility. And then really moving with the breath. As you inhale, you drop baby like a little hammock to the earth, lift your heart and tailbone. As you exhale, really push the floor away as you dome into the upper back here. It's a beautiful opening for the shoulders. And it really helps you get in tune with the breath. Sam's doing it lovely. The benefits of this pose are, as Lisa said, it gets baby into the right position. It also manages any sensations in the back, and a lot of labour sensations are felt in the back, as well as keeping the spine supple, massaging the spine, keeping it warm. And generally it really helps create space around contraction. So yoga is all about creating inner spaciousness in the body, so it kind of opens you up. And many women, again, in labour, it's almost a primal instinct to get down onto all fours. So crawling around the room as much as you can is also another kind of variation of this, really, where it really helps babes get into the right place.
That is beautiful. And while this position itself, it might not be enough to get your baby to turn, if your baby is in a good position at the front, it will certainly keep them there. So it's all about maintenance with the lifestyle. Thank you so much, Sam. You do it beautifully. Oh, there we go. We've got a lovely stretch in there. We'll come to that one in a minute. So we are going to move on to our third yoga position, and this one is going to be a lizard lunge. So I'm going to hand it over to Sarah. Fantastic.
So from all fours position, and Sam is going to do, in practice you would do this on both sides, Sam is going to take one of her feet to the outside edge of one of her hands, and making sure that the knee is aligned over the ankle. So sometimes you might need to pull the foot forward. And first of all, you just give it a moment or two just to feel what this feels like. It's really opening the hip. And in labour, you can even go a little bit fluidly, so perhaps even doing a tiny little knee circle initially, or forward and back, just bringing a bit of lubrication to the joints. And then gradually we start to sink a little deeper into this pose, so walking the fingertips forward. And for many women, this might be enough. So at this point, when you first meet resistance, that kind of little tightness in the muscle, can you just pause and breathe? Because generally our reaction is to hold the breath, which is what you'll do in a contraction. So we're really training our mind to breathe when we feel sensation. And then gradually you might go a little deeper. So it could be in some cases forearms to the earth or to a brick, or possibly even just resting them on a good old bolster. So Sally's quite flexible, very flexible, so her elbows are on the ground. But for some it might need to be a bit of support. And do watch the position of the head as well. You want to slightly still be in a nice straight line, because when the skull is down, that can be quite tiring. So kind of keeping in mind where the skull is in relation to position along the spine. And then again, it's just a sensation of breathing deeply, feeling, and just allowing gravity to gradually ease the hips open. But throughout this, of course, the breath is so important. That's the bedrock of a yoga practice. So you're breathing really fluidly, very evenly. And if that becomes laboured and shallow, then it's time to back off out of the pose, really.
That is beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sam. So as you said before, Sarah, you would be doing that on both sides.
Yeah.
And you might spend a good few minutes in each side, depending on how you feel.
But you might want to just move tiny little pulses, as Sam was doing, kind of, and almost naturally. So sometimes you don't want the muscles to set, so if it just feels nicer for your body, because it is really tuning into your inner wisdom of what your body likes to do, because that's your inner wisdom will get you through your labour.
That's such a great point about listening to your body and trusting yourself.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's something that we don't do very instinctively, particularly in pregnancy, your body's changing, but it's really important. Sam's doing some beautiful stretching here. She's just smoothing everything out so it feels comfortable. And if you do find that you're in a posture and it's not comfortable, you're feeling pain, gently come out, and have a break. Be gentle on your body. Fantastic.
I think never before in history we've been told how we experience our labour. We've got blogs, we've got magazines, everybody's got an opinion, whereas previously, even the last couple of centuries, it would have been much more a felt experience. So
absolutely.
It's really good to tune into that.
Yeah, being in our body. Oh, you're doing some lovely stretching, Sam.
It feels lovely. It feels nice to stretch out, especially in the hips.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great take-home message from this series, that you can enjoy them. You can have a half hour where you really, it's nourishment, it's self-care, it's connecting with your baby, and that's a lovely, lovely thing. And we're going to move on to our fourth posture. So our fourth posture is the pigeon, all the animals. So I'm going to let Sam and Sarah demonstrate the pigeon.
So we're going to get into pigeon from all fours. So Sam is going to be on all fours and bring her right knee to the right wrist. So the shin can be anything up to parallel towards the front of the mat, though that would be probably too intense for our Western bodies. But if you don't feel a stretch, you start to wiggle the right foot a little closer towards the left of the mat. I'm going to support Sam's hip of the bent knee, the right knee, with a block, because I want her pelvis to be level, and that's quite important. And then from here, we're just going to lift up the left toes and just push the knee back a little bit, so really lengthening the back leg, and then really soften. And this is a really nice hip opener. It also opens up the lower back, so it's really good for back pain. And you can make it a restorative, if it's comfortable, by taking the bolster to the foot and hugging the bolster. So you've kind of got a lot of space for your baby, and then you can just lie down. And that makes it really nice, really comfortable. So again, it's opening the hip, it's stretching all the muscles that we use for walking all day, and it just gives you a lovely sensation in the back. It's really opening up that space. And again, just feeling the lungs expand in the back as you breathe. It's another position for positioning the baby's head, because obviously the baby's head is the heaviest part.
That looks like Sam could stay there for a while.
Pigeon is my favourite.
So, would you do this on both sides?
You would do it on both sides, and also you can make it what we call a restorative pose by just having something under the forehead. So Sam's head then was turned to one side. If you put the forehead on something, that stimulates what we call the vagus nerve, which is linked to the relaxation response. So again, many, many benefits. But you would do it evenly on both sides. And here's where you may well experience a completely different sensation depending on where the baby's lying in your body. So one hip might feel completely different to the other. So you might find you need one to support one side, not the other.
That's fantastic. And you might be doing this for a few minutes, depending on what felt good.
Yeah.
Not overstretch, but relax into it.
And a few minutes is good because that really gives the muscles time to unwind. So again, these muscles get very tight, we sit on them, we walk a lot. So a really, really beneficial pose to hold for 3 minutes to 5.
Beautiful. And we're going to move on to our 5th pose, which is Baddha Konasana. Sam's just coming out of that really gently and slowly, taking her time. Don't rush. It's not about rushing, it's about resting and recharging.
I mean, Baddha Konasana traditionally can be done on the ground, known as cobbler's pose, like so. But in pregnancy, it is also good to prop yourself up, as again, it's a position then that can engage baby's head. It's a really soft, gentle groin opening stretch, and as well, it's another hip opener. And it can be quite nice to flutter the legs as well. It's called butterfly, so kind of just releasing tension from the tight muscles. Again, another really good pose for hip opening, and hip opening often related to lower back pain. So nice open hips, eases out space in the lower back. And relatively comfortable, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very beautiful. And we're going to move on to our last pose, which is the wonderful...
The ultimate. My favourite pose. Well, I've said that about all of these poses, apart from the squat.
So it's child's pose. So one that most people will know if they've done a little bit of yoga, and wonderful if you haven't done yoga as well.
So child's pose is in yoga, in pregnancy, wide knees. So as wide knees as you can manage, and you sit back on the heels. Now if that's not uncomfortable, you could put a bolster or a blanket just over the heels to sit on too. Sam, again, is very flexible. And as baby and bump get a little bigger, you might want to come onto your forearms. Otherwise, this is the shape. So you sit back on the heels, it's a soft opening for the knees and the hips, and it really opens the space in the back. And again, roughly about 10% of women experience what's called back labour, which can put a little bit of pressure on the sacrum. So this takes that pressure away. Another good position is technically an all fours position, getting baby into optimal fetal positioning. And also a friend of mine gave birth. This is how she had her labour recently. It was child's pose with a block under her forehead. So I'm just going to put that under Sam's forehead just to demonstrate. Again, stimulating the relaxation response. And a friend of mine recently, this was her labour. And she told me that she spent most of the labour in this position. You can also manage contractions in this position. So I'm just going to show you if it's okay for me to put my hands on your lower back, Sam. Mm-hmm. So if you get your partner to spread their hands really wide on the lower back, and then you just pause for a moment while you wait for the breath. So gradually you'll feel your hands ever so slightly move, lovely, and that in a sense is guiding Sam to breathe really deeply. And then on an exhale, you push. And you can be quite firm. And that can really help with contractions. And it's a really nice stretch for the sacrum. Does that feel okay?
Really nice.
Yeah, it can actually be really nice.
Beautiful.
And something else I'd like to say about this pose is it's often worth thinking about how you're going to communicate with your birth partner. And this is a really good pose if you kind of speak about it in advance, just to say, leave me alone now, I'm in my zone, I'm finding my breath again, I'm reconnecting. You're kind of withdrawing all your senses from the outside world. So this is not the time to be prodded and said, do you want a Marmite sandwich? It's the time to be left alone while you really gather your resources, your inner reserves. It's effectively like plugging the phone in to be recharged.
That is brilliant, ladies. How does that feel, Sam?
Really good.
Really
Child's
amazing.
pose is my favourite.
You can stay there as long as you want to. So just to recap, so that was brilliant, Sarah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was 6 beautiful postures that you can do through pregnancy and during labour as well. They all work slightly differently to stretch out some of the muscles and ligaments and open up your pelvis. And they encourage baby into that front position. So just again to reiterate, if you're having pelvic pain or discomfort, don't do postures that are irritating or making you feel uncomfortable. But I would definitely say to approach that as an opportunity to rest at least once a week. You can do it more often if that feels good as well. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
And we will see you in the next video. We'll see you there.